Venezuela, a country located in South America, was once a functioning democracy with a developing economy and a growing middle class, with upward trends in areas like education, healthcare, and foreign investments. Coupled with that, it was also an oil-rich country and had some of the largest oil reserves on Earth. But how did it turn into a failed state like it did today? Today we'll be exploring that in this video. Let's start with the extent of how bad Venezuela is. First of all, people are struggling to obtain basic necessities like clean water and power. Goods like bread and toilet paper are in short supply. People wait hours in line for bread, flour, and basic medicines. People are even eating garbage. Venezuela's inflation rate is the highest in the world, reaching 830,000% in November of 2018. It is double of that of second-ranked Sudan. In 2017, the largest denomination of paper money in Venezuela was a 100 Bolivar bill, which is worth 28 US dollars, or you could buy roughly 288 eggs. Today, the 100 Bolivar bill is worth 1 US cent, and you need 5 bolivars alone to buy 1 egg. The cost of living in Venezuela has skyrocketed. Let's take a college professor scenario. In the 1980s, 15 minutes of a college professor's salary would equal 1 kilogram of beef. 1 year's salary for a new sedan. 1 month's salary for 17 baskets of essential goods. Today, a college professor would need to work 18 hours for a kilogram of beef, 25 years for a new sedan, and he can buy 1/4 of a basket of essential goods with 1 month's salary. Venezuela's GDP has fallen 35%, a larger fall than the US in the Great Depression. Its crime rate has skyrocketed. The last reported murder rate, reported in 2014, was equal to the civilian casualty rate in 2004 Iraq. There is virtually no freedom of the press, and many basic freedoms are being infringed upon. Opposition leaders and journalists that write against the current presidents are jailed. There's arbitrary arrests, extrajudicial executions, and torture. There is an education crisis in Venezuela with schools that simply don't teach. Also, this crisis is happening because half the children in Venezuela are malnourished. There's also a health crisis. Hospitals have no money for medical supplies or medicine. So patients with cancer, epilepsy, and heart diseases, among others, needlessly die daily. 75% of Venezuelan adults have lost weight, an average of 19 pounds. Infant mortality rates have grown exponentially. To add on, Venezuela is run by a socialist dictator, and many international airlines refuse to fly to Venezuela. But how? It's all because of one man, Hugo Chavez. In the 1999 election, Hugo Chavez vowed to make Venezuela a socialist paradise with a theme of hope and change. Hugo Chavez was a military leader who, in 1992, attempted a failed coup to establish a leftist government and was imprisoned for that. His message was heard, though, and as an act of tolerance, the president freed Chavez. Chavez went on to win the election. He said that Venezuela is a nation of great wealth, but is being stolen from its citizens by evil capitalism and corporations. He drew inspiration from Fidel Castro and gave sometimes 7-hour speeches and had a weekly television show where he would spontaneously break out into singing. Under Chavez, the government took over industries, saying that they would run the business better than private enterprise, and so the profits would be shared by the people. He tore up contracts with multinational oil and gas companies, demanding higher royalties, and when they refused, they were told to leave and take their business elsewhere. The state-run oil firm, PDVSA, had a strike against Chavez, and he fired 18,000 of their workers. Many of them skilled at their jobs, and replaced them with 100,000 supporters as employees. This proved detrimental for the oil company, which struggled despite booming oil prices. He expropriated or took the land of hundreds of companies without compensating them, and gave the control of these companies to political allies who had no qualifications for running businesses. He made some popular moves like enacting judicial reforms that reduced corruption, but he also made others, like abolishing the legislator's upper house. He also filled the judiciary with loyalists of his choosing. These were attempts of reducing potential checks on his authority. In 2002, as a result of this corruption, a coup was formed against Chavez, and he was temporarily put out of power, but the failure of the coup to adopt the Venezuelan constitution was their downfall, and Chavez was restored as the president of Venezuela. This taught Chavez that he needed to suppress members of resistance, forming the colectivos, which were groups with money and arms from the states that took to the streets, becoming political enforcers. Protesters feared these men, and they often used lethal force against protesters. They grew in power, and in 2005 took control of Caracas, the capital, and expelled the police, all while being supported by the government, even though they didn't condone violence. As a result, many members of collectivos participate in organized crime, increasing the crime rate. In addition, Chavez also set up Venezuela for a future food crisis by halting foreign trade in many sectors. Hollywood celebrities and U.S. politicians praised him for the work he was doing. The thing to keep in mind is, socialism always works in the beginning because it is easy to confiscate money that is already there, but soon there will be no money to confiscate. What also initially helped Chavez was the increase in oil price from $7 to $9 per barrel when he was elected to $100 per barrel by 2005. So what happened as a result? Nearly 2 million people left Venezuela, or 7% of their population, and many people sent money out of the country. Middle-class people tended to go to Madrid or Miami. Lower-class people were trucking across borders to Colombia and Brazil. Venezuela has now changed into a dictatorship from a democracy, or a totalitarian system. Chavez said that if people weren't happy with him after 2 years, he would leave. But like Castro, he stayed and died in office 14 years later, only to be replaced by his vice president, Maduro. It would be wrong of me to tell you this without telling you a solution. What Venezuela needs to do is return back to its fundamental roots of democracy. Throughout civilization, the one prevailing system of government that has withstood the test of time is democracy. Socialism has proved many times to be a flawed system. It is only when Venezuelans see the potential of democracy and revert to it when they can be released from the shackles of government reliance and into a prosperous country and a beacon of hope for other nations with the same downfall. Thank you.